Hi there, my name is May, and today for My Story Animated, I'm going to tell you the bizarre story of how I hid my boyfriend in my closet for 5 years. Things weren't meant to be like that, but they escalated way too fast and I lost control. You want to hear my story? It all started on my very first day of college. I was anxious to see Jerome because he was my boyfriend and he'd disappeared all summer. I tried to contact him several times with no luck, and I was really worried. As I waited for him and realized that he wasn't going to show up, I met Sarah. I was in the middle of a crisis and she got near me and comforted me. We became friends really quickly. I told her about Jerome and she couldn't believe what a jerk he'd been. She got really mad at him and told me that I shouldn't let it go, that no one should make me suffer like that. I was mostly sad, but throughout the following days, Sarah helped me turn my sadness into anger and then into thirst for revenge. I was so mad at him. How could he do that to me? How could he disappear like that and make me feel so insignificant? A couple of days later, Jerome appeared out of the blue in college and said, "Surprise!" I was walking through the hall and thank God Sarah was with me because I was suddenly filled with mixed emotions. Jerome hugged me and I stood still like a statue. I didn't know what to do. He then said he was late for class but was hoping to see me afterwards, and he left. I was stunned. Sarah immediately told me to be strong. She said he was not worthy of me, that I was too much of a woman for him. I wasn't so sure, but as she kept on talking and talking in my ear, I became more and more convinced. Then she said she would make a plan for revenge. She suggested that I invite him over to my place that night. She would hide in my bedroom and wait for us, and then help me to lock him in my closet. I wasn't so sure about the plan at first, but I was so blind with hate that I finally agreed. So I waited for Jerome at the end of the day and asked him to come home with me. He hugged me again and told me that he really missed me all this time, and that he would come. Sarah had warned me about his lies, so I kept myself together and didn't buy them. Missed me? Right. Missed me so much that he could send me one message in the entire summer? What a liar! We got home and before I could open the door, he was already kissing me. But I didn't fall for that one either. Thanks to my chats with my new friend, I was stronger now. I turned on the music and started dancing for him. I took a rope and tied his hands behind his back. He laughed. He had no idea what was waiting for him. I covered his eyes with a piece of black cloth and then told Sarah she could come out. He couldn't see anything, but I heard him say, "What? Who's Sarah?" We grabbed him and forced him to sit down on a chair inside my closet. "May, what's going on?" he said. I replied, "You disappeared from my life for 3 months. Now my life is all you'll see for the next 3 months." Sarah laughed. I slammed the closet door, already feeling better with our revenge plan. But things didn't go as I planned. 1 minute after I locked him down, someone rang my bell. Jerome started to shout, so I opened the closet door and put a sock in his mouth. I closed the door again, and I turned up the music volume. When I opened the door, a couple of classmates were there, and as they heard the music, they invited themselves in with beers. They started dancing, so I had to play along. Jerome continued to make noise and I got really worried. I told everyone that my dog was a bit anxious and that we should take the party outside. We continued dancing and drinking, although I was getting more and more nervous. After a couple of hours, I saw in the distance that someone was running away with their hands tied. Sarah came quickly and told me that Jerome had escaped. I told my classmates I was sorry, but I had to leave. And as they kept on partying on the street, I rushed with Sarah after Jerome. I shouted his name and he turned into an alley. I called for him again, and when he turned around, he tripped and fell into a bag of trash. I got closer and saw that a broken glass had hurt him. I lifted him up, but he resisted. I told him that if I didn't help him, no one would find him in that alley, and he would get an infection. We got back inside my house. I sat him again on the chair inside the closet and covered his eyes again. As I was preparing the bandage, Sarah walked around the room really angry. She said to me, "You see? He's a liar of the worst kind. He said he was having fun, and at the first opportunity he had, he tried to run away." Sarah's words were hurtful, but that didn't mean they weren't true. As I cleaned Jerome's wounds, he kept on feeding me with lies. He said that he was sorry, but that during the summer he was at some retreat and couldn't communicate with me. Yeah, right. No Wi-Fi in 3 months? Sure. He was such a liar. He even told me that I knew about it. What a jerk, trying to make it sound like it was my fault. Sarah was right from the beginning. She was the only one I could count on. As Jerome continued to talk more lies, I got tired of him and put a sock in his mouth. I went to college on the next day, but I was too anxious to pay attention. Sarah was saying that it was not a good idea to leave Jerome alone at home. He would probably try to escape again. So I rushed home, but I was relieved as I saw he was still there. But Sarah was right. It was a bad idea to leave home. I stayed home the following days, eating the last amount of food I had until I had to leave to go to the groceries. Sarah kept on repeating it was a bad idea, but I had no choice. I would make it quick and rush back home. As I was at the groceries, I saw a policeman and freaked out. Sarah said she heard him talking on the radio about a suspicious woman, and I filled the description. I started to sweat. I grabbed a few more things, almost threw the money to the cashier, and ran out. The police started to follow us, so we started to run faster. As I saw he was still behind us, Sarah said we couldn't go back home or else he would find Jerome. So she pointed at the alley close to home where Jerome fell, and we hid there. The police looked around for a while, but then went away. I sighed and we went back home. Sarah said that this situation was getting more and more dangerous, and that we shouldn't leave the house again. Jerome was getting weaker since I only fed him a small amount of food. He'd stopped asking for forgiveness, and now he started to beg for mercy. Good. I asked for mercy for 3 months, and you never gave me any. Now suck it up, dog! Sarah laughed hard when I called him a dog, and she said it was the best description for him. He was a dog, and he should be fed like one. So, as I was scared to go out again, I started to order food online. I also ordered dog food and fed Jerome with it. He was so hungry, he ate it without question. After the first 3 months passed, I was ready to let him go. It was fair enough. He suffered already as much as I did. But Sarah told me it was not a good idea. He would go straight to the police, and I would definitely go to jail. Jerome promised me he wouldn't tell anyone anything. But how could I believe his words? He'd been nothing but a liar. And he deserved to pay. So I kept him for another couple of months, and then months turned into years. I got used to my new routine. I didn't have to go outside. Everything I needed, I ordered it online. And Sarah was the best friend ever. She stood by my side all the time.
Wait. That's not how things happened. Hi, I'm Jerome, and I'm here to tell you the real story of how I was the true victim here. I was contacted by My Story Animated to tell my side of the story. First, let me make some things clear. I was away for the whole summer. That's true. But May knew about it. We've been dating for 3 years, and I always went to the retreats for the summer. Since this was the last year I was going to be able to do it with my family because I was starting college, we left early and came back late. I really missed May during my trips, and I was really happy to see her again. I could see that something was not entirely right when we met at college. But since she asked me to go to her place, I just thought I was imagining things. I got to her place in the afternoon and kissed her right away because I really missed her. She started dancing for me, and I thought things were back to normal. I played along when she tied me up, but when she covered my eyes and locked me in the closet, I felt again that something was not right. I heard she was talking to some girl named Sarah, but I only heard her voice, so I assumed she was on the phone with her. But when she said that I disappeared for 3 months, and now all I would see was her for 3 months, I got scared. She kept on talking on the other side of the door, so I shouted. This was not fun at all. So she opened the door again and put a sock in my mouth. As I heard someone knocking on the door, I screamed harder and made all the noise I could. But the music started to sound too loud and no one could hear me. After a while, as I heard that everyone was gone, my survival instinct activated and I knew I had to escape. It was now or never. I couldn't untie my hands, but I scratched my face on the wall and got rid of the cloth that was covering my eyes. I opened the closet and looked outside the window. I saw that May was nowhere near, so I jumped. Everything took a double effort with my hands tied up, but the adrenaline in my veins did the rest of the work. I started running away, but 3 blocks later, I heard May calling my name. I didn't know what to do, so I hid in an alley. But she saw me and followed me. I was so desperate. I lost my balance and tripped onto a trash bag. I felt the glass piercing my leg and I shouted in pain. May got closer and grabbed me, but I resisted. She was horribly calm, and her eyes were filled with anger. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. But she only said that if I didn't let her help me, no one else would. I was in so much pain, so I let her. She grabbed me again and helped me get back to her place. All the time, she continued talking to someone I couldn't see. I thought then that she had one of those Bluetooth hearing devices and she was talking on the phone again. I got really scared of May. She wasn't the kind of girl I used to love anymore. My survival instinct activated again, and I thought really fast. I would need a strategy too if I wanted to escape. So as we got back to her apartment and she started to heal my wounds, I thanked her and told her I loved her. I was trying to make her remember the perfect relationship we used to have. She hesitated but said nothing. "What are you going to do with me?" I asked, and added, "You don't need to keep me prisoner. I want to be with you. I would stay with you anyway." She looked at me in silence, her eyes with tears. But then, she closed the closet door again and continued to talk to this girl Sarah on the phone. I didn't know what to do, and I was too injured to try to escape again. I decided I would wait. Perhaps she would sleep on it and let me go, but she didn't. On the next day, I heard noises on the other side of the door. I tried to scream again, but I felt weak. I hadn't slept at all and felt the pain in my legs spreading to my entire body. I was trapped. After a few hours, she came back inside as she opened the closet door and saw I was still there. where would I go anyway? She put some food on the floor and closed the door again. I was so hungry, but with my hands tied in my back, I had to eat from the floor. It was humiliating, and my leg hurt terribly as I kneeled down. As days went by, I realized that May left the house on fewer occasions. I heard loose phrases such as, "It's dangerous," and "I must stay home." She kept on talking and talking with this girl Sarah, which I never saw or heard. Every time she opened the closet door to feed me, I tried to look around to see if Sarah was there, but I never saw her. As months passed, I realized that every time May opened the closet door, her apartment was messier and dirtier, and so was she. I felt sorry for her. She was clearly having a nervous breakdown, and it hurt me that she blamed it on me. By that time, she only fed me with pet food, which had some of the nutrients I needed to survive, but not enough. At least it wasn't poisonous. I got to the point where I was so weak I couldn't think of escaping anymore. I was becoming more and more resigned to this new life. Every passing day, I hoped I would go to sleep and never wake up again. But my prayers weren't heard. I lost track of the time after the first year, but May kept me prisoner for at least a few years more. The good thing, if I can call it that, was that as May saw how weak I was, she didn't lock me in the closet anymore. I was free to walk through the house. But it was getting more and more uninhabitable. Mess and dirt were everywhere. May didn't seem to realize it though. She wasn't taking care of herself either. I had to dodge cockroaches and flies to go to the toilet, not to mention the rotten food and trash spread everywhere. As May went down deeper and deeper, I started hearing her conversations with this mysterious girl Sarah more and more. At first, there were only whispers, but as time went by, she started to talk louder, as if Sarah were in the room with us. As I looked closer at her ears, I realized she didn't have any Bluetooth device. I even found her phone once crushed under a pile of trash. Oh my God, who was she talking to? May had definitely lost it, and I was too weak to do anything about it. Her phone was useless. My phone was gone from day one. May had rolled down the window blinds, and I was too weak to roll them up or shout anymore. It was up to me to help her now, but I didn't know how. I tried to remember the great times we spent together. It was hard to do it, because it was painful to compare that joyful May to this creepy one. But if I didn't do something, we would both die in here. So, trying to sound as chilled as possible, I started to talk about our happy memories together, our trips to the beach, our camping nights. Every time we studied together for the exams. We used to be a great couple. I didn't know at what time that changed for May, but I had to take her back to those happy memories if I was ever going to rescue her from this dump hole. May didn't want to listen to me at first, but as I continued talking and remembering, I could see some of the glow back in her eyes. After weeks of remembering, she started to participate in the conversation, and she even talked about other memories. She started to cry a lot, and I realized she was fighting with that strange voice in her head. One day, I asked her to leave Sarah out of this, that these were our memories together and no one else's. She looked at me intensely. I could tell she was in a lot of pain. I got closer to her and told her to look in the mirror. She refused at first, but when she finally did, she dropped to her knees crying. Then she looked around as if seeing the mess for the first time. She seemed so lost. I told her that we were in danger and that she had to call the police. She looked at me and then back to the mirror. I looked at her reflection with her and told her, "Sarah is not real. She lives in your head. You have to let her go." She started crying again and then hugged me. I'm sorry, she said. She rolled up one of the window blinds and shouted to a passerby that we were in danger and to call the police. For the first time in years, I leaned on a wall and sighed in relief. The police didn't take long to arrive. May confessed it was all her fault. They took her away and took me to the hospital. After I recovered, I heard that May was in jail, but she was doing therapy and was getting better. To this day, I cannot hate her. I never could. I lived in the flesh what resentment can do to people, and I don't want that for my own life.